You're going to watch this video, and I promise you will remember it at some point in time in your life. One of the foundations of my practice as a lawyer, I've been doing this 25 plus years, is democratizing and demystifying what the practice of law is and what the law is. And this piece of advice that I'm going to give you right now, I promise you, you will think of it, you will remember it, and you will use it at some point in time in your life, and it's this. So in 25 years of doing this, I get phone calls all day long. A client has gotten ripped off by a mechanic company. A client has paid something to Amazon or some other retailer. When the thing arrives, they don't like it. It wasn't what they promised to be. A contractor has come on the property and they've screwed your door or whatever else like that. The painting job was awful. And the person says, I want to hire you as a lawyer. And the reality is, lawyer fees are expensive, and it sucks that you can't have a lawyer in most cases unless you can afford to pay a good lawyer fees. But the solution is this: small claims court. It's something that people really need to be familiar with and understand how to use it, how to deploy it most effectively. I've sometimes said this, that gentlemen, this is your opportunity to be that hero in your family, that when your wife is so pissed off because the hair salon, overcharged her, or you as a dad are really pissed off because you went and you bought your kid this coaching camp or whatever, and it turns out it was a scam. The organization ripped you off, or your kid went and bought a bike, and the bike shop ripped them off or something like this. This is your opportunity with what I'm going to tell you right now to be the hero in your family, and that is this: understanding your ability to access your court system and get your problem resolved. And I often tell people, I spend a whole lot of time listening to people's complaints about how they got ripped off, and I want to help them, but I don't want to charge them that retainer of $5,000. That's the key of admission, just to get started for anybody. And I often got to tell them, I got no guarantee that I'm going to get you a good outcome. But there's one thing that you can do, and that is file a small claims action. If someone has ripped you off, if someone has screwed you or your family or your kid or your coworker, understand that you have the right to file suit against them in small claims court. And, look, I've done this as an employer. When an employee comes in and they're pissed off because somebody ripped them off, and I'm listening to them on the phone and they're not getting the resolution that they're entitled to, I say, here's the Word document, fill it out, and file a small claims lawsuit. And that's something that I really want you to think about, particularly here in 2026. More and more, we can't talk to a live person, right? Gone are the days. Remember the good old days when people complained about the call centers with somebody with a foreign accent? Well, that ain't really the problem anymore. The biggest problem is trying to find out who the hell do you even call when you got a problem. I remember looking at websites, right, and you have to go all the way down to the bottom to actually find a phone number to call somebody. But increasingly, it's becoming impossible to even find a phone number on websites when you've got a legitimate gripe or complaint about a service, right? And then sometimes if you do get that phone number, increasingly, you're not even talking to a human being. You are talking to an AI. AI can work. One of my pieces of advice is don't fight it, so just let the AI do its thing. Maybe it can help you, maybe it can't. But if you've reached the point where you can't get resolution on whatever it is that you're dealing with, then the solution that will save you so much time, so much frustration, so much aggravation is to file a small claims lawsuit. Matt Widener versus Sears Roebuck and Company. You sold me a lawnmower, and that thing was a piece of junk, and I got tired of all the time on the phone with you, so I'm suing you for the $3,000 that I spent for this damn thing, and I'm not talking about it anymore. That's literally a good example that I come up with. I've done this over and over again. When I reach the point of time where I'm sick and tired of dealing with the call center, this was before the time of AI, but when I'm not getting the response out of some 800 number, national corporation, local corporation, or whatever, what do? Boom, small claims court. It's most counties, most states have just a form, and I'll drop a link in here. You just fill it out, you file, and then you forget it. And then what happens is, and this is the key next step, it gets served on some corporate entity. I'll give you a trick here. I file the lawsuit. But before I do so, and I've reached my point of frustration with the person on the phone, I say, I need an email address that I can email correspondence to. And of course, sometimes they resist. They only want to deal with you on the phone. But almost invariably, you can find an email address to serve somebody. So you attach your emails of the correspondence back and forth with the company that shows how you got screwed. And then you just file the lawsuit. Boom. You do it online, and then immediately thereafter, you get a case number. What you're supposed to do then is have that served on the corporate registered agent in Tallahassee or wherever else. That's time consuming, that's difficult, that's expensive. So what I do is after I've got a case number on that lawsuit, that's when I go back onto the website for XYZ Incorporated and I find every single email address that I can. And if it's a big company, sometimes there's multinationals, sometimes there's just big, national companies. Then I go onto their website and or maybe other websites, and I find the board of directors. And I've done this many, many times where we got a big multinational corporation. They've got 20 boards of directors. Some sites you can find their email addresses easily on that company's website. Other times you have to dig a little bit deeper and grab their email addresses from Securities and Exchange Commission or other sources. But here's the deal. When you're tired of dealing with the company and the 1-800 number and the normal customer service garbage, once you get that lawsuit filed to Small Claims Court, and once the literal CEO, Jamie Dimon or whatever else, gets this in his email address, boom, I promise you your problem's solved. And your poor wife, it's pissed off about the dishwasher or the light bulb or whatever and didn't get satisfaction. Your poor kid that's embarrassed because the whatever isn't what he wanted. And all of a sudden, you're getting that check in your hand, and they literally will FedEx it to you within days just to get that case dismissed. So I promise you, remember this, the best legal advice you've ever seen, the most practical, the thing where a lawyer came along and gave you something that you can use, and remember me when that happens.